I ain't never made a call to Diddy. I got Diddy's number, just hit him up. Yo, Diddy, what up? Never happened.
He told me to take me shopping. I looked at him like, what you just said?
Ooh, this is a tight one. And the winner is Eminem, the Eminem Show.
Wait, he didn't just spell the word rapper and leave out a P, did he? Yep.
You really hate Sean Combs.
Why would they be thinking that?
Because of the things that you post on Instagram, because of the...
Look at this, and let's stop for a second and do say that I hated him enough to hire his kids, and we've never done anything to each other. So it's just competitive energy and things that you say about other artists while you're in hip-hop culture.
If you are watching this, you are witnessing the demolition of an era. For 30 years, the American public was sold a lie. We were sold a story of black excellence, of billionaire mogul status, and of a prosperity gospel that promised if you sowed a seed, you would reap a harvest. We looked at the men in the white suits on the magazine covers, and we looked at the men in the purple robes in the pulpit, and we called them heroes. But today, the lights are on, and what we are seeing scuttling across the floor isn't excellence. It's alleged extortion, it's alleged trafficking, and most terrifying of all, it is a web of blackmail so vast that it threatens to pull down not just a music label, but the sanctity of the church itself. You have clicked on this video because you feel it too, the shift. You've seen 50 Cent's Instagram posts, you've heard the whispers about the tapes, but what you might not realize is that this isn't just about a rapper named Diddy. This is about a system of control. We are about to walk you through the timeline of the most explosive scandal in modern history. We are going to examine the connection between the bad boy of Harlem and the Bishop of Dallas, T.D. Jakes. We are going to look at the federal raids, the specific allegations of grooming inside the church, and the terrifying silence of the celebrities who know too much. Ask yourself, why did the feds take electronics from Diddy's home? What is on those hard drives? And why is the most vocal man in hip-hop, 50 Cent, telling us that he's the only one who is safe? The devil is in the details, and we found them all. To understand the end of this story, we have to go back to the man who predicted the beginning, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. For years, the industry treated 50 Cent like a class clown. He was the internet troll, the bully, the guy who couldn't let a grudge go. When 50 Cent made memes about Diddy, when he made jokes about puffy situations, people laughed. They called it petty. But looking back through the lens of today, 50 Cent wasn't telling jokes. He was sounding an alarm. Notice the precision of his attacks. 50 Cent didn't just call Diddy names, he attacked his character in very specific ways. He joked about the shopping trips. He joked about the discomfort men felt around Diddy. In a viral clip that has now aged like fine wine, 50 explicitly stated, "I don't go to those parties." At the time, we thought he was being competitive. Now we realize he was being tactical. 50 Cent recently revealed he has 3 moves prepared to ensure Diddy can never touch him. First, he personally reached out to the legal teams of the alleged victims. Second, he bought up potential business deals Diddy might need upon release. And third, and this is the kicker, 50 claims he doesn't just have rumors, he has backups. This isn't the behavior of a troll. This is the behavior of a man who knows where the bodies are buried and made sure he wasn't holding the shovel. While Diddy was allegedly building a house of cards based on blackmail and coercion, 50 Cent was building a fortress of independence. And now, as Diddy sits in a legal nightmare, fantasizing about a comeback that will never happen, 50 Cent is on a victory lap. But 50's safety highlights a terrifying reality for everyone else. If you did go to the parties, if you did drink the champagne, and if you did wake up the next morning not remembering what happened, you are not safe. And this fear isn't limited to rappers. It has crossed over into a world that was supposed to be holy.
You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No. He destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is, he's never coming.
Now we must pivot to the most disturbing chapter of this saga. This isn't about hip-hop debauchery. This is about spiritual betrayal. We need to talk about Pastor Dwayne Youngblood. While the media focuses on Diddy's freak-offs, a parallel storm is brewing around Bishop T.D. Jakes, and unlike the anonymous Jane Does in many lawsuits, Dwayne Youngblood has put his face, his voice, and his name on the record. His testimony offers a rare, terrifying glimpse into how a powerful figure allegedly operates behind closed doors. Youngblood takes us back to when he was 19 years old. He wasn't a celebrity, he was a kid, a young minister full of zeal, looking for guidance. He describes receiving an invitation that felt like a calling from God himself, an audience with Bishop Jakes. Picture the scene Youngblood describes. He walks into a room that smells of wealth and influence. There is a long, polished dining table. It's just him and the bishop. For 2 hours, the conversation is magnetic. Youngblood describes pouring his heart out, crying tears of vulnerability, talking about his father, his dreams, his fears. This is what experts call the love-bombing phase of grooming. It creates a false sense of intimacy. You feel special. You feel chosen. You feel like the most powerful man in the room understands your soul. But then the meeting ends. Youngblood looks at his watch. He has to get his mother's car back. He stands up to leave. And according to Youngblood's harrowing account, the bishop didn't offer a benediction. He didn't shake his hand. Youngblood claims the bishop walked around the table, blocked his exit, and pulled him into a hug, but not a fatherly hug. He describes being pulled tight against the bishop's body. He describes the bishop wrapping his arms around him and allegedly attempting to kiss him. In that split second, Youngblood says, "I literally died." That phrase is important. It wasn't physical death. It was the death of his innocence. It was the death of his image of God's representative. He describes driving home in a fog of confusion and terror. Did that just happen? Did I misread it? But then comes the follow-up, the move that connects this story directly to the tactics alleged against Diddy. The next morning, the phone rings. Youngblood's mother answers. "Wayne, it's Elder Jakes." Youngblood picks up the phone and listen to the specific detail he gives. This is the kind of detail you cannot make up. He says, "I can hear water." He is sitting in a bathtub. Let that sink in. A 19-year-old boy is on the phone with one of the most powerful religious leaders in the world, and the leader is allegedly calling him from a bathtub. In that conversation, Youngblood claims the bishop laid out the terms of their relationship. 1. When I come to Pittsburgh, you are the only person I sleep with. 2. You can't sleep with anyone else. 3. I will take care of you for the rest of your life. This is the playbook. It is transaction over transformation. It is the alleged purchase of a human being's silence and body in exchange for financial security. Youngblood refused. He hung up. He refused to go to the service that night even when his mother threatened him because he knew he couldn't sit in the front row and watch a man preach purity after allegedly proposing him for prostitution.
Even imagine being 18, 19 years of age. This person is killing it, and they're saying to you, "Come on in, let's talk." And so I did. I went in. We sat down at a very long dining room table in a room that she had, and for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. Pouring of heart, crying, him talking about my father. We talking about these scenarios, and I inwardly just knew I had finally found someone who could get it. Someone who understood. I'm sitting at this table, and for the first time talking to any man, I got tears coming down my face because somebody gets me. Somebody understood what I was going through. Well, after sitting there and having this long discourse with him, I finally look at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go. I got to get this car back to my mother. She's going to kill me. So I said to Bishop, I got to get up. And I got up from the table. He got up from the table. He walked around toward the way I had to exit quicker than I got over there. And when I started to walk past him, he pulled me to himself, wrapped his arms around me and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died. I could not I tell you, to this day, I can't remember how I got out of that place. But I remember driving home with all kinds of crazy thoughts and what in the world am I going to do now? And I finally get home, get in the house, get in the bed. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And I get to sleep and get up in the morning. And in the morning, I step into our bathroom and my home phone rings. My mother answers the phone and she says to me, Wayne, it's Elder Jakes. And I get on that phone. And when I get on that telephone, I can hear water. He is sitting in a bathtub. And in that thing, he says to me, without any hesitation, there's 3 things I need you to do. The first one is, when I come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be the only person I sleep with. The second one is, you can't sleep with anybody else because I don't want to give my wife anything. And thirdly, I will take care of you the rest of your life. I can't to this day remember how I got off that phone, but I do know I made a decision that I wasn't going to the service that night. And eventually I told my mother, I'm not going to go to the service tonight. She says, no. You know, we got a rule in this house. If we go, you go. I never told her what he had done. I went to church, and the most humiliating thing imaginable happened that night at church. Bishop Jakes, getting up to preach, speaks into that microphone. I'm going to ask young minister Youngblood to read for me. And after all of that drama of the last 24 hours, I had to read.
You might be asking, okay, that's a terrible story about Jakes, but what does it have to do with Diddy? The answer lies in the federal lawsuit filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones. This 73-page document is not just a complaint, it is an encyclopedia of alleged corruption, and buried within its pages is an allegation that threatens to destroy the legacy of the Potter's House forever. Lil Rod alleges that Diddy and T.D. Jakes weren't just casual acquaintances. He claims they were strategic partners in image rehabilitation. Remember the timeline. Diddy was under fire. The Cassie lawsuit had exposed cracks in his armor. The bad boy image was no longer cool. It was becoming a liability. He needed to pivot. He needed to look like a man of the people, a man of maturity, a man of God. According to the lawsuit, Diddy didn't turn to Jakes for prayer, he turned to him for cover. Lil Rod alleges that Diddy made significant strategic financial contributions to Jakes' ministry. In exchange, the lawsuit suggests, Diddy gained access to the bishop's platform. He gained the halo effect. Think about the psychology of the public. If you see Diddy standing next to T.D. Jakes, if you hear the bishop speak highly of him, your brain does a calculation. The bishop is a man of God. He has discernment. If he trusts Diddy, then the rumors must be false. The lawsuit alleges that Jakes was used to soften Diddy's image for the jury of public opinion. It suggests that the church was used as a laundry service for a reputation stained by alleged abuse. And here is where it gets darker. Rumors have swirled for years about high-profile pastors attending Diddy's parties, not the televised white parties where the cameras are on, but the after parties. If these men of God were present in environments where, as witnesses claim, drugs were flowing and people were being coerced, their silence makes them complicit. Did Diddy buy their silence with donations, or did he secure their silence with something far more potent?
Pastor T.D. Jakes is named in a federal lawsuit against musician Sean Diddy Combs.
It's filed by a producer that worked with Combs. It discusses how the singer planned to leverage his relationship with the bishop to soften the impact on his public image of Casey Ventura's lawsuit. Ventura is a former girlfriend of Combs who filed her own lawsuit in November alleging abuse, violence, and sex trafficking.
Meanwhile, Combs' lawyer is criticizing the raids at 2 of the hip-hop mogul's homes in a federal sex trafficking investigation. He called them an unprecedented ambush. It comes as we're getting a new look inside Combs' LA house after the search by federal agents. Carter Evans has details about what the feds have uncovered so far.
Guns, cell phones, and other electronics are among the items taken from the homes of music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, according to a source familiar with the search warrant performed by federal agents at his properties in Los Angeles and Miami. TMZ says this video shows the aftermath of the raid inside Combs' LA mansion. Drawers empty, documents scattered, and safes open and searched. Hours after the raid started, Combs was seen walking around the Miami Opa-locka airport, according to TMZ, which also obtained this video. Later, at the same airport, authorities arrested Combs' associate, Brendan Paul, and charged him with drug possession. In a civil suit filed against Combs by former music producer Rodney Jones, Paul was accused of being a drug and gun mule who allegedly aided Combs in sex trafficking. Yesterday, Diddy's lawyer called the law enforcement action nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits. Could this federal investigation have come out of these private lawsuits?
Oh, absolutely. If it involves sex trafficking, or drugs, or weapons, or other illegal behavior.
Lori Levinson is a former federal prosecutor.
They've decided this is worth a lot of resources across the country. So once they've done these searches, they have evidence to follow up on. And if they've got it, they'll move on it.
We still here, you're rocking with the best.
Even though Combs has not been publicly named as a target of the investigation, he says he's now prepared to fight
To understand how the trap was sprung, we have to leave the philosophy of the church and look at the hard evidence found on the tarmac. While the world was focused on the armored vehicles smashing through the gates of Diddy's Los Angeles mansion, a much quieter but perhaps more deadly operation was happening at the Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport. This is where the federal agents intercepted Diddy's private plane, and this is where they found the man who might be the key to unlocking the entire operation. Brendan Paul. Who is Brendan Paul? To the casual observer, he was just a young associate, a former college basketball player hanging around the crew. But according to the lawsuit filed by Rodney Lil Rod Jones, Brendan Paul was the mule. The lawsuit explicitly names him as the man responsible for acquiring and distributing the guns and the drugs that fueled Diddy's empire. When agents stopped him, they didn't just ask questions, they arrested him. They allegedly found what they were looking for, suspected cocaine and marijuana candy in his possession. But this wasn't a simple drug bust. This was the feds cutting off the supply line. Why does this matter to T.D. Jakes? Because you have to ask, what was being supplied and to whom? Lil Rod's lawsuit paints a picture of a logistical machine designed to compromise people. It alleges that Paul's role was to ensure the freak-offs were stocked with the specific substances needed to lower inhibitions and keep the party going for days. If these substances were being transported across state lines, which creates a federal trafficking case, and if high-profile guests like Bishop Jakes were present where these substances were allegedly being used, the legal exposure is catastrophic. It changes the narrative from "I was just at a dinner party" to "I was present at the scene of a federal drug trafficking crime." This is why the arrest of Brendan Paul sent a shockwave through the industry. He is the weak link. He is the young man facing prison time who has every incentive to cut a deal.
So I want to get right into it, man. How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and T.D. Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he there to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he there to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere. So now what he's doing is he's making, man, he making the Christians look real bad right about now.
And you been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah, I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards. So I know what goes on at the parties. If, you know, they probably got a little bit more freakier, you know, as time went on, you know, because they got to the point whereas that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, you know, where people used to go to, you know, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, you know. So, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other, that's just crazy.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy parties, you know, bruh. If he's going, well, we know he's going to the Diddy parties, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we told us happened at the Diddy parties. Maybe he need to see it for himself, man. Maybe he need to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going to, man, it's hard to even talk about. Why would you find a religious man, you know, when you know that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners? And why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the parties. It's hard, brother. Bruh, you know, you can't, I really don't know why, as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy while he got a party with him like that and be at his parties. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the.
We need to stop using the word party. What the lawsuits describe are not parties. They are operations. They are what Diddy allegedly referred to as freak-offs. And understanding the anatomy of these events is crucial to understanding the alleged entrapment of powerful figures. According to the legal complaints and the testimony of insiders like Gene Deal, a freak-off was a masterclass in psychological warfare. It followed a specific script. Phase 1. The flex. This is the recruitment. You are invited to the white party, the Hamptons, the yacht. It is elegant. There is champagne, lobster, and the biggest stars in the world. For a religious leader like T.D. Jakes, this is the influence phase. It's where business deals are discussed and charitable donations are promised. It feels safe. Phase 2, the switch. This is where the night turns. The cameras come out. Not the TV cameras, but the private ones. The atmosphere shifts from networking to debauchery. The lawsuits allege that this is when the specific party favors, these substances allegedly carried by mules like Brendan Paul, were introduced. We are talking about substances designed to create euphoria, compliance, and memory loss. Phase 3, the compromise. This is the end game. Once the guest is intoxicated, once their judgment is impaired, they are allegedly guided into situations that are sexually compromising. Gene Deal has spoken extensively about how Diddy would supposedly watch these events, orchestrating them like a director. If a bishop, a man who has built a career on moral authority, is caught in Phase 3, his life is effectively over. He cannot go to the police because the footage would destroy his ministry. He cannot leave the circle because the threat of exposure is always hanging over his head. This creates a golden handcuff dynamic. The victim becomes an accomplice. They have to smile in photos with Diddy. They have to accept his donations. They have to publicly support him, because if they don't, the tape leaks.
The friends is going to speak or say nothing until they're either contacted or they know what they really got.
So you feel like they might be worried that they might be on tape at one of Diddy parties doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing?
I think that the celebrities that may be worried is because what Lil Rod said. Lil Rod said in his affidavit that Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders. I mean, little those micro projectors or whatever like that, or video cameras. They found them in the house, bro. So by them having those things in the house, and people know there's drugs, there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, woman on woman, man on man, all kind of crazy shit. Bruh, they just wondering who or when.
This brings us to the single most important factor in this entire investigation, the tapes. When Homeland Security hit Diddy's homes, they didn't just knock, they breached. And what did they find? According to insiders and leaks from the investigation, they found an arsenal of electronic surveillance. We are talking about a house wired like a reality TV set. Cameras in the bedrooms, cameras in the living spaces, cameras, allegedly, in the bathrooms. Gene Deal calls it the Truman Show. He claims that Diddy recorded everything. Why would a billionaire record his own parties? Why would he create a digital footprint of illegal acts? The answer is simple: mutually assured destruction. This is the Epstein model. You invite powerful people, politicians, CEOs, actors, and yes, bishops, to your private sanctuary. You lower their inhibitions, and then you catch them on tape doing something that would end their career. Once that tape exists, you own them. This explains the silence. It explains why so many powerful figures in Hollywood and the gospel industry have gone completely mute. They aren't silent out of loyalty to Diddy. They are silent out of terror. They are waking up every morning, checking the news, praying that their face isn't on a screenshot leaked by the feds. Was the bishop trying to save Diddy, or was he trying to save himself from what Diddy had in his vault?
Well, the thing with a sexual abuser is they follow a pattern. They fall to type, and you become very clear on what that pattern is, particularly a serial sexual abuser. And these cases were all identical in the facts, identical in the story. It was beginning, middle, conclusion.
They know each other?
Boom. None of them knew each other.
Did you have them meet?
No.
Did you have them coordinate stories?
No, no.
Do you think they had any contact with each other before they came to you?
Absolutely not.
And when you were talking to them, well, first, the ones that you didn't take, why not?
Stories didn't make sense. Stories didn't fit the pattern. Stories were not credible. I mean, this is my 30th year as a lawyer. I've tried over 100 cases. I can assess whether somebody's story is credible. And if I don't believe it, I'm not going to put my name on a pleading, sign it, and file it in court. I'm not doing that. And that's what I did with the 60 plus cases that I rejected.
And this is not really your area of expertise. If people look you up, celebrity lawsuits is not really where you make your bones. Why this?
Well, I was involved in the Weinstein litigation. Right. I was involved in the Paducah litigation. I was involved in the Hayden litigation. Why did I do this? I do this because it's important. I think it's important for people to be heard, have their chance to get the power back. Because sexual abuse, sexual assault is about one thing: taking power, humiliating, demeaning a person and a victim. It has nothing to do with sex. And so I think it's important. I think it's important to get the word out. I think it's important for men to feel, hey, look, I can come out and be heard just like a woman could.
And the defense that, look, they knew what they were getting into. These are regrets. They went there, they partied, and now they see a pocket.
No, I don't think so. My client
were they gay men?
One was bisexual, the other ones were not. And they were going there The client was bisexual, worked for Diddy. Diddy owed him money for doing errands for him and being his step and fetch, for lack of a better word. And I think it was a power move. It was a clear power move because this guy had the nerve to come to him and say, "You owe me money." And so Diddy said, "Come on to the Intercontinental Hotel." He gives him the drug, knocks him out, sodomizes him. And I won't use the term that my client used, but said he tried to turn me into his B word. And I think it was a clear power move on each and every occasion. I think the ones that took place in the Park Hyatt, that wasn't partying. My client met him at a nightclub in the city here with a music producer. He didn't think he was getting into that. The man who was in the Hamptons, he thought he was going to a white party. Who wouldn't want to go to a white party? I would have gone to a white party back in the day. I wouldn't go now, but they went there.
Now, let's look at the physical toll of this secret war. The body keeps the score. You can only carry the weight of a double life for so long before your knees buckle. Recently, the world watched in horror as Bishop T.D. Jakes suffered a medical emergency on stage. He was in the middle of a sermon, preaching with his signature power, when suddenly he stopped. He slumped, the microphone dropped, his team rushed to surround him, blocking the cameras, creating a wall of protection around their fallen leader. The official statement was exhaustion. They said he had been working too hard. And while that may be medically true, we have to look at the timing. This collapse happened as the heat from the Diddy investigation was reaching its boiling point. It happened as 50 Cent was relentlessly mocking him. It happened as the names Youngblood and Lil Rod were trending alongside his own. Some insiders are whispering that this wasn't just physical exhaustion, it was a spiritual breaking point. Imagine standing in the pulpit, preaching about light while fearing the darkness of your own past is about to be projected on the news. That isn't just a health scare, that is the physical manifestation of a house of cards collapsing. T.D. Jakes' legal team has issued blistering denials, calling the allegations unequivocally false and defamatory. They argue that people like Lil Rod and Youngblood are opportunists, but in the court of public opinion, the silence of his peers and the volume of smoke makes the denial harder to swallow.
It's good.
Here we are.
Hang tight, sir. This is going to take a shit open the car.
We break the y'all, all the people who prayed, all the people who tested, all the people who had prayer vigils, all the people who were concerned and said love and said notes. Thank you. Just grace. Not afraid to die. Don't want to hurt my kids. The people who love me. The church hates me. Don't call me the God who sent me.
As we sit here on February 9th, 2026, looking back at the debris field, one thing is undeniably clear. The lines between the sacred and the profane have been erased. We wanted to believe in the heroes. We wanted to believe that the bishop was a man of God and the mogul was a man of business. But the truth, it seems, is that they were both men of power, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The tragedy of this story isn't just about the fall of T.D. Jakes or the imprisonment of Diddy. The tragedy is about the breach of trust. It's about the millions of believers who feel betrayed. It's about the young victims like Dwayne Youngblood who had their faith weaponized against them. This scandal forces us to ask a question we should have asked a long time ago. Why do we put celebrities on pedestals? Why do we assume that wealth equals righteousness? 50 Cent tried to tell us. The victims tried to warn us. And now the feds are about to show us. The raid was just the beginning. The lawsuits were just the opening arguments. The real story, the story of the tapes, the flip, and the fall, is about to be told in a courtroom. And when those files are opened and the secrets of the freak-offs are laid bare for the world to see, the church will never be the same. We are watching the end of the age of untouchables. The walls are down, the cameras are watching, and Judgment Day is here. Don't look away, because the truth is coming, and it's going to hurt.